What is gender identity? Are all gender non-conforming people gay? What does the LGBTQ plus even stand for? If people use the pronoun they, does that mean they're gay? Hi, I'm Dr. Lori Sulpizio, and I help people level up their life and their leadership, live authentically, and nurture a strong mindset. In this video, I'm going to explain the difference between gender identity and sexual orientation. You might be thinking right now, this information doesn't really apply to me. Why do I care? Well, I'm going to tell you, you do care whether you're conscious of it or not. And this information is important to you for two reasons. One, every single one of us have a gender identity, and every single one of us have an orientation related to our sexuality. So this is personal for you. It's a good idea to consider both your gender identity and your sexual orientation because they very much contribute to your sense of self, they're related to your self-awareness, and they directly impact how you move through the world. Additionally, unless you've been hiding out for the last few years, you know that we're going through a gender revolution right now. We are expanding our language and our categories related to gender. We're pushing back on the way we've always thought about gender and sex. Trans rights are in the forefront of the conversation, as they should be. And there's a whole lot of conversation on Twitter that spreads falsehood and hate. So if you work in the world with other people, this will help you gain awareness about the issue of gender and sexual orientation. You'll be more aware and better able to engage with others. If you've ever gotten these two terms confused, worry not. It's totally understandable that it's confusing. The acronym commonly used, LGBTQ, includes both LGB, lesbian, gay, bisexual, which are sexual orientation based, and the T is transgender. That's about gender identity. Additionally, there are other gender identities now in our language that aren't included in this acronym, such as being gender fluid, gender non-binary. And there's other sexualities that aren't included as well, like pansexual and sapiosexual. Not to mention we have this word queer that I don't really like or identify with, but this seems to be a catch-all phrase that includes both gender identity and sexual orientation. So if you're confused, don't beat yourself up. I got you on this. We're going to address all this in this video. Sexual orientation is about who you're attracted to and want to have relationships with. Sexual orientations include gay, lesbian, straight, bisexual, asexual, pansexual, and some others. Gender identity isn't about who you're attracted to, but about who you are. Male, female, gender queer, gender non-binary, gender fluid. Gender identity is a person's internal sense of being male, female, or somewhere along the gender spectrum. Transgender is an umbrella term for people whose gender identity is different from their biological sex or the sex they were assigned at birth. It's important to know that we're pushing the boundaries of gender identity more than we ever have before. So no longer are people unquestionably fitting into the categories of being a man and woman, or male and female. When it comes to gender identity, people are recreating the way they get to show up in the world with relation to being a man or woman. And now we have more expansive language to help us express who we are in new and more authentic ways. Gender identity has become part of the public conversation because people are recognizing that the stereotypes and social norms for men and women are very rigid and constraining. And we're pushing back, saying, I don't want to be a woman in the stereotypical way. That's not who I am. I don't want to be a man in the stereotypical way. That's not who I am. I use myself as an example because I'm a biological female and identify as a woman in terms of my biology. But when I think about my gender identity and how I show up in the world, I label myself as gender nonconforming, gender non-binary, and gender fluid because I don't conform to the stereotypical notion of woman. I shop at the men's section, I wear my hair short, and I don't fit into the binary that gives us all these rules around how a woman should be and should look. I've got several videos on this that I will link to in the description, but the important thing for you to know is that gender identity is about who you are. Gender identity is individually based. Your gender identity is your internal and individual experience of gender. It's a person's sense of being a woman, a man, both, neither, anywhere along the spectrum. Again, gender identity is who you are. One of my most favorite videos is the one that I did about the idea that we all should be gender fluid because I think all of us as humans have the capacity to be masculine and feminine, and we should nurture those capacities. I also think we don't need to hold to the strict and limiting standards that are so toxic for both men and women. The standards that tell men they can't be emotional, they always have to be strong, and they're defined by their status. And the standards that tell women they're too emotional for hard jobs, too soft for leadership, and they should be defined by their appearance. Gender identity is not sexual orientation. Sexual orientation is a topic that has really evolved since my days in college, where it seemed like you had three choices: gay, straight, or bi. Sexual orientation is a different kind of identity. It's a person's identity in relation to the people, gender or genders, to which they are sexually attracted to. It's like the fact of being heterosexual, homosexual, etc. So sexual orientation has to do with your romantic feelings and your emotional connection and your sexual desires with relation to other people. Essentially, it's the identity that reflects who you want to be in a significant and intimate relationship with. And I want to say that even this category is fluid and very nuanced, because we might have a physical attraction to a certain look, but then be emotionally drawn to a different kind of person. One thing that's interesting to me is that as we push the boundaries of gender and as people are becoming more fluid in the way they live their lives, it's really opening up the possibilities of our sexual orientation, allowing us to be with the person that we connect the most deeply with, and the person that we're most attracted to, and the person that brings out the best in us. It is helpful to have labels. Labels help us make meaning and make sense of our environment, of our world. It helps us know who we are and categorize who we are. But these categories of sexual orientation can be limiting. If you consciously refine your scope of who you allow yourself to be attracted to and who you allow yourself to find connection with, you could be limiting a really great life partner. Just like with gender identity and the freedom that we're pushing there to be who we want to be in the world, it would be really great if we could continue to push back on the rigid restrictions and give ourselves the freedom to just meet people in the world and find those people who bring out the best in you, who you want to be in a relationship with, without the structures of saying, I'm this way, so I'm looking for these people, or I'm that way, so I'm looking for those people. In fact, many of our sexual orientation labels now, such as the label pansexual, is embracing the fact that as humans, we really have the opportunity and possibility of being attracted to any other human. So in today's world, you don't want to assume anyone's gender identity or sexual orientation. Most of our assumptions about people come from stereotypes, and stereotypes are not only hurtful, they're most often wrong. We all want to be seen for who we are. We want to be allowed to have intimate relationships with whom we choose. So let's let go of the judgments and embrace the wide range of humans that we all have the capacity to be. I know you have a choice in where you spend your time, and I am grateful that you spent it with me. Thank you for digging into this topic. Questions, please put them in the comments. Until next time, let's be brave.